Hey everyone, welcome back to another product review here on Vinyl Rewind, and today we're taking a look at this right here. This is an ultrasonic cleaner for vinyl records. It's made by Vevor, and I'm very excited to try this out because I've been wanting to get into this style of cleaning because I only ever use like the scrubbing method. Like for instance, the very basic version of that would be a spin clean, and it uses like essentially cleaning fluid and some physical force, but this one uses ultrasonic technology, basically creating little bubbles to get into the grooves, and supposedly it has a deeper clean. So in this video, we're going to talk about what this unit comes with. I'm going to show you how it works, and I'm going to demonstrate that using a very dirty record. You won't believe how dirty this is. We're going to do before and after, and then I'm going to wrap up with my thoughts on this, both positive and negative, and finally determine, is this worth picking up? Because for the price point, it could be too good to be true. We'll find out in this video. And one last bit of housekeeping, I do want to mention that Vevor did send me this unit free of charge, but my opinions are my own. I'm not getting paid for this video. All right, let's begin. What is this? This is a 6-liter, 180-watt ultrasonic cleaner. This one's sort of grafted into a vinyl record cleaner. It wasn't necessarily built for that purpose, but you know, they make it work with this added spindle motor unit here. And that is what turns the records as the ultrasonic machine works. So what you get is actually two different power supplies. So you have sort of this brick unit for the motor, and then you have more of a standard plug for the ultrasonic unit. I'll show you, I'll turn this unit around so you can take a look at what I'm talking about. So you have a master on-off switch for the ultrasonic, and then this is where you plug in for the motor, and the motor has its own on-off right there. This does require some assembly when you get it shipped, and it does have a sheet sort of detailing it, what exactly you have to do. It comes with a drain hose, and it has a lid for the ultrasonic cleaner, but it doesn't, you can't really use it when the motor's on there. It also comes with a drying rack. This is it fully assembled. It feels like a 3D printed part. I gotta be honest, I don't think this is the best way to dry your records using this. I think if you have the money, I would definitely pick up a separate vacuum like the Record Doctor. You can also get like a wand with a shop vac. You can also do it that way too. But I just find it's better to dry the records right away versus leaving them on this. But it's nice that they included this. It also comes with a user manual, which is very generic. It's not very specific to cleaning vinyl records. It's more specific to using this functionality here. So if you wanted to use it to clean like jewelry or something else, you may want to refer to this. So now I want to demonstrate how this works. And I'm going to be using this right here. This is a rather beat up copy of the Seed's second album. It's titled A Web of Sound. I picked it up at a thrift store. And it's very beat up. It's very dirty, in fact. Let me just show you how dirty we're talking here. It is very dirty. It's very beat up. It's scratched. Now, I'm not expecting a miracle, but I thought this would be a good case study, because when you have a record like this and using a more standard way of cleaning, like say with a spin clean, you're actually using kind of a scrubbing action. And so for something like this, which is, you know, worst case scenario, there's a lot of dirt built into here. So there's a potential, as you're scrubbing the surface, gently even, you could be dragging a lot of this dirt and maybe tiny rocks across the surface, causing more damage. Whereas this, it's just like water and bubbles and sonic waves or something. It's magic, basically. I apologize, I don't know the science behind it, but I do know that it's non-abrasive. So I thought this would be the perfect candidate to test this unit out. And just to show you how kind of beat up this is, this had rocks in it. rocks just came out of this. I got this pretty much set up. Everything's plugged in. I filled up the tank. There's like an indentation here. I filled it up to about there. Now I just use regular water. Some people use distilled water, but I've read that regular water from the tap is just fine. I could use it as is, and even the instructions say just to do that. But some people say to add some sort of cleaning agent to it that you would use for cleaning records. Now, all I have is some Spin Clean washer fluid. Now, this is a concentrate. I'm just gonna go ahead and do about 3 capfuls full of this. And what this is supposed to help is like break up the surface tension of the water, kind of help with cleaning and rinsing and stuff like that. So that's what I'm gonna do. Did about 3 capfuls of this cleaning solution. Now you can use different kinds. A lot of people use swear by ones over the other, but this is just what I had on hand. So I'm gonna use it. So because I'm only cleaning 1 record, I'm gonna space out these spacers so that the record is more about, I'd say in the middle of the tank. I don't know if it really makes a difference, but I just like that symmetry. Here's the record, and you simply just mount it like you would on a record player. Put the rest of the spacers on like that. Thumb screw. Like that. Tighten, but not too crazy. Currently, the water level is into the run out groove. It's not getting all the way to the label. Now I could add a little bit more water so that it got closer to the label itself, but I don't want to risk getting the label wet, so I'm going to leave it as is. I'm not too concerned about getting all of the run out groove. Now, next thing we're going to do is just turn on the ultrasonic unit itself. It's very loud. We'll get into that as I wrap up, but this unit is not quiet. This is all adjustable. What I've read online is that 35 degrees Celsius is kind of the sweet spot. It's like, I forget, like 35 to 40 degrees is where you want it. Now, you could turn this on without turning on the ultrasonic, but the problem I find is that it doesn't quite get up to temperature. It takes a really long time. So I think it's better off turning on both. Basically, you want the water to be warm. Now you could like heat it up in a microwave and put it in here because currently it's at 16 degrees. But I find as this unit starts to go, it heats up the water pretty quickly. And they recommend 30 minutes. Now you don't want to go over an hour. This is the ultrasonic part because that can add extra wear and tear to the ultrasonic components. So 30 minutes is about where you want it, and I find like that's a pretty good sweet spot because it allows the water to get up to temperature and then gives it about like 15 minutes of really good cleaning. So this is a timer that automatically shuts off the unit once it reaches 0. So this is set to 30 minutes. And so to turn it on, what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the heater first, and now we're going to turn on the ultrasonic. And now we're going to turn on the motor. And as you can hear, it's quite piercing, it's quite loud. But, oh my goodness, already you can see dirt just coming off. It's like booming like clouds. That's pretty crazy. So I'm just going to leave this running for 30 minutes. Okay, well, it's done. We're going to stop the motor. And as you can see, it didn't quite get to our target temperature. It got to 33, but you know what? I think that's okay. It's well within where we want to be. But you can see how pre-warming the water might be more beneficial for you, especially if you want to maximize your time cleaning. Yeah. But I think that will be good for this. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the unit off. And there's a lot of dirt down there. Once you're done, you just place the record like so and let it drip dry. but we don't want to wait. We want to see our results quicker, so we're going to use this, and it's going to be a little loud, so I apologize. Here we go. Let's take a look at the record. It's definitely scratched up. I was not expecting it to do anything to that, but it really cleaned it. I'm impressed here. It got rid of all that surface dust, and now we can really see the condition of this record. It was worth a shot, and it was perfect for this demonstration. Now, let's go play this record and see if we can hear any differences. Like I anticipated, this did not produce a miracle, but you can really hear how much of that dirt and dust was taken away. Now, those pops you hear are just the fact that this is heavily scratched up, and no cleaning solution would ever take that away. But it did improve the sound quality quite a bit, even for a record this beat up. So you can imagine with records that are in fairly good condition, but maybe have some mildew or a little dusty or some, sometimes, who knows when you get used records, what spilled on them. This will take care of that, no problem. And it's pretty easy to do. And with this motor, you just set it and forget it. Come back in 30 minutes like I did. I went and had lunch, came back, and this thing was done. This thing is incredibly simple to use. It's just got a little bit of assembly and then you're ready to go. Like, there really is not a lot of downtime, and you just got to add some water and you're good to go. Now you could experiment with using some additives to the water or using distilled water. And I've even seen some people build like a whole separate water filtration system, which I think is pretty trick. So this thing's very versatile. You can customize it to however you want. But I gotta say that the big selling point, the big positive for this is that you can have all of this plus that drying rack for $200 with free shipping. So I like that. And the fact that you can clean all three varieties using the same setup. Now, I haven't tried 78s. My guess is they would clean just fine, although I would caution you about using any additives to the water if it's not specifically formulated for 78, because 78s are generally made of shellac, which is kind of a natural material. They will dissolve in alcohol, so you have to be careful. But other than that, yeah, I think those would clean up just fine, which is actually a good thing because they're so brittle. I find that 78s, if you add just a little too much pressure, like especially if you were to clean using a spin clean, that actually might add too much pressure. And if you just were to wobble it just a little bit, you might put a crack in it, whereas this wouldn't do that. So yeah, I think this is a very good value for the money. It does the job well. It's not super pretty, but I think that's okay. I think the thing that really stands out with this machine is that it's very loud. And it's not just loud, it has a piercing sort of sound. And that's just the nature of ultrasonic. And depending on how good your hearing is, it might be really bad. So I find that very hard to be in the same room with this machine as it's going. So I tend to put it in a room I don't want to be in for about 30 minutes and just leave it be, because it's not so much painful, but it's just like grating sound, and depending on how sensitive your hearing is, it could actually be very unpleasant to be next to this machine. Also, the beeps when you hit it are like unnecessarily loud. There's no way to adjust those beeps. So that's like my main negative against it, but it's not the end of the world. The other thing that bothers me is the instructions. They are very lacking. There's no mention of what setting to use to clean vinyl records. I kind of had to go to the website, and even then I had to scroll down to read reviews on this, and even then I had to go to other websites to read what people use for this machine. Even like Reddit was more helpful than their website. So not the end of the world, and I'll put like a best practices to use with this machine. I just don't like the fact that there's that extra legwork for a consumer. This is really my only strong nitpick with this machine, is the spindle here. If you're not careful, slipping the record on and off of that, this can inadvertently cause the paper to tear, creating some white marks on the inside edge. I didn't actually have any instances where it did damage the labels. I'm just saying potentially there is an issue with the way this is threaded. It could catch on the spindle hole. And I think it's a simple fix, because if you slip these spacers off, you can see this is a smooth shaft up until they put the threading, right? And this just has like a set screw here to attach to the motor spindle. Simple fix, leave this unthreaded, just have a smooth shank here, and then get something similar to that. Yeah, it's a little more inconvenient because you got to get a screwdriver, but you know, there's probably a way to get a thumb screw in there and they would eliminate any of those issues. All right, so in summary, I think this is a fantastic value for the money. Even though there is a bit of a setup, there is a bit of a learning curve, research curve, I don't think it's the end of the world. And especially for the price point, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And honestly, if you're collecting vinyl, you're already used to a certain level of doing things manually, if you know what I mean. So this is not anything we're not used to. Yeah, I wish the instructions were a little bit more detailed. I wish, you know, out of the box, it was ready to go. But like I said, it doesn't take too much research to get some general best practices for a unit like this. I don't know if this necessarily cleans better than a more traditional way, like brushes over with cleaning fluid over the grooves. But I think in certain instances, this thing is superior, especially if a record has a lot of caked on, say like mold or dust or who knows what, and you don't want to risk damaging the record further. For instance, my Seeds album, I had a lot of grains in it that could scratch up the record more. Now granted, that record was already pretty much gone at this point, but you know, it served the purpose of like showing how much dirt and grime it can get off without using any abrasive. So I think that's really cool. So, you know, for like everyday cleaning, like you get a brand new record, you know, maybe this is all you need. But if you're collecting a lot of used vinyl, you inherited a big collection, you might want to look into getting one of these. Not only for the convenience of doing potentially up to 8 records at the same time, but you know, you minimize the risk of creating more scratches by using a physical, you know, brush form of cleaning. So I think both serve purposes. You know, it's really ultimately hard to test, you know, which is a better method of cleaning. I think why not have both? You know, it's like one of those things, like how do you get 2 copies of the same record to have the same amount of dirt and grime to test this? And in the end, it's so subjective. I do recommend this product, whether it be this particular form of ultrasonic cleaner or a more expensive one. Definitely look into it. These things are fantastic, and I think it's a really nice tool to have in your record collection, especially if you have really valuable records. This is a great way to clean them. That will do it for today. Let me know what you think. Have you tried an ultrasonic machine? Have you tried this particular unit? What did you think of it? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Let me know with a comment down below. Until then, I want to thank you all so much for watching, but I especially want to thank my members over on Patreon. I'm your Vinyl Geek, and I'll catch you on the flip side.